Hey guys, what's up? It's your man Pete, and I thought I would do a little bit of a condo market update to let you guys know where we're standing in terms of condo prices as we speak right now. Some people think the market is crashing, some people think it's holding up quite well, or even prices are still going up. But I just thought I would actually drop some real numbers for you guys so you have a better idea of what's happening out there. Truth be told, it's not as dramatic as you would think because, again, if you've watched some of my previous videos, I've mentioned that there's a lot of condo inventory out there right now which isn't selling, and so it's kind of suspended. It's kind of hanging in midair because there's more condo sellers and a lot more inventory, but there isn't as many buyers out there to close the deal, to actually make something happen. And although we are starting to see some investors circling around because they're seeing some discounts and some good opportunities right now, there certainly isn't enough buyers. There's definitely a lot more condo sellers right now, and it really just comes down to how long they're going to be able to hold on and carry those condos and carry those properties until they're able to sell it or find a tenant who can live there. And especially in the downtown core of Toronto, you know, it's been historically very busy and there's been a shortage of rental properties actually. But nowadays we don't see as many renters, we don't see as many international students or local students renting condominiums downtown, so they're sitting empty, and so a lot of the landlords just need to sell their properties. But again, because the deals are not happening, so they're not creating data points, it's not suggesting to us that there's a market collapse or crash happening right now, because frankly speaking, the sellers are just not that desperate right now in condos. But you will still be able to find good deals if you look for them. So I thought I would just do a cross-section of prices, you know, a couple of the buildings that are some of my favorites to work in and to analyze, because a lot of these condos are sort of bellwether type buildings where when the market's good, they go up the most in value, but then when things don't turn out so good, they actually come back down in value quite a bit because they've gone up so much. But there is some data available, as there are some condominium units being sold over the last 2 or 3 months, and then we can sort of measure that against the stuff that sold earlier in the year between January, February, or March. And in some buildings, there isn't a real marked difference in terms of the price, but in other buildings, it's significant enough where we can see that there's a discount of about 5 and 10% compared to last year. And what we've also noticed with condos is that they respond differently depending on the neighborhood and the markets. So North York overall is responding differently from downtown. Downtown is responding differently from the West End. And even within certain pockets of downtown, they're responding differently as well too, which is typical and normal that we see even during normal market conditions. And you should definitely like my channel, give us a subscribe, give us a like, because you're going to see and you're going to hear information that you're not going to see anywhere else, not even from the Toronto Real Estate Board. You're only going to get this type of insights from us here at Selling Toronto that's actually actionable if you're a buyer or a seller. And before we get into it, just a couple of housekeeping things. So I decided to measure only single 1-bedroom condominiums, so not 1+ den or 2 bedrooms. Those respond differently as well too. You know, actually hold some variables constant. And again, I must remind you all that this is just for illustrative purposes. So if you're more serious and you're looking to get into the game, then we can certainly connect and work together and fully analyze the properties, fully analyze the market to determine what is a good deal, what is not a good deal. And if you're a seller, we're going to try to maximize and get as many offers in front of the table for you so that we can help you sell and maybe help you upgrade out into the suburbs if you're looking to buy a house. You got to get into a house, guys, if you're sitting on the fence. Trust me, not just for investment purposes, but for your own lifestyle and sanity. So here we go. It's time to bust out the clipboard. Okay, so the first building that I'd like to analyze, and I typically like to start with Bay Street when it comes to downtown because it's some of the better product. It's the most highly rentable area in all of downtown, and so Bay Street is kind of the bellwether, and it's actually the best place that you want to get into when the market dips, because this is typically where price acceleration happens the fastest. Demand is the strongest from a rental and a resale point of view. Trust me, Bay Street is not going anywhere. But one of my favorite buildings that I like to look at is U Condominiums, which is 1080 Bay Street. And what we can see here is that because of the strength of Bay Street, it's actually pretty hard to find great deals. And we're going to look at this particular 1-bedroom unit here, where recently it sold for $690,000 or $689,000 in the month of November. And a very similar and comparable unit sold for $690,000 in January as well too. So as you can see, there is zero drop at 1080 Bay over the last 8 or 9 months of this pandemic. And then now we're going to move on to another one on Bay Street, which is Brit Condos, and this is one of the newest condos to have finished on the street. And of course, as typically expected, newer condominiums, it's harder to negotiate and get a great deal because first of all, the seller paid quite a bit for the unit as well too. So there isn't that much room for negotiation. And what we can see is at the end of November, there was a 1-bedroom that sold for $620,000. No parking, no locker, just simple basic. In early March, a similar unit sold for around $640,000. So, you might be able to negotiate somewhere between $20,000, maybe $30,000 for a brand new unit at Brit condominium. Not great for negotiating, but definitely great long-term when things recover. I definitely recommend this building. And then staying on Bay Street again, because I just love it here, we've got 832, which is Verano condos. And in early October, we had a unit here sell for around $580,000. And then if we look back a full year in October of 2019, when everything was still normal, similar unit like that sold for $623,000. So we're talking about a difference of somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000. That's actually a pretty good price drop and a really good discount if you're looking for a good condo to buy in some of the primest areas of Toronto downtown. And then of course, staying in the area, we've got 5 St. Joseph, which is also one of the newest buildings in the area, where we had a unit sell in January of this year, pre-pandemic of course, for $630,000 for a 1-bedroom condo. But then we fast forward 11 months later, actually in fact the unit right next door to the one that sold in January is now selling for $550,000. So that's a pretty big drop considering it's exactly the same floor. We're talking an $80,000 difference. Wow. And if you can get any unit in here for $550,000 or less, you should definitely make that move, especially if you're an investor. And now we're going to move just a little bit over to Yonge Street, right across from the Eaton Center. We've got one of the newer buildings, Massey Tower, where a single 1-bedroom unit in April was selling for $660,000. Fast forward 6 or 7 months later, a similar unit was selling for $605,000. So you're talking about a $55,000 difference, which is not bad in a new building in a prime location such as Yonge and Queen. And then now what we'll do is we'll get a little bit further south down towards the water, and I like to look at Pier 27, which is 39 Queens Quay, where a 1-bedroom unit was selling for $745,000 in February of this year. Now we've got something that sold last week in the middle of December for $692,000, which is a little bit over a $50,000 difference. So $50,000 doesn't sound like a lot of money, but truth be told, when the market kept going up and up and up, you also have to factor in that prices, if they were normal, would be a lot higher. That spread would be a lot bigger. And so a $50,000 drop in Toronto, which represents about a 5 or even a 10% discount, is a spectacular discount. I think it's a really, really good opportunity for you to get into a good building in a good neighborhood. And it presents a chance for you to get high quality versus lower quality condominiums. So now we'll spread our zones out just a little bit and we'll head up to North York. And my favorite building in North York is Gibson Square, because of course it's connected to a subway and it has some of the better floor plans in the same generation of condominium that we compare it to. The addresses are 5162 and 5168 Yonge Street. And again, in January, we have a 1-bedroom selling for $673,000, which was way more than $1,000 per square foot at the time. And then now you've got a 1-bedroom selling in December for $615,000, which represents a difference of over $60,000. And then last but not least, we're going to go a little bit out west to Etobicoke, and we're going to look at 15 Viking Lane, which you had a 1-bedroom in October that sold for $532,000. And then we had a similar one in February for a 1-bedroom selling for $605,000, which represents a difference of almost $70K. So if we look at the 1-bedrooms all across the city, sort of within Toronto boundaries, we're not looking into the GTA for now, we can see that there's a pretty significant discount, depending on the building and the floor plan that you choose. And especially the smaller stuff is going to be a little bit more affected because landlords don't have renters sitting in those units anymore, and so they do need to sell. And so if you're an investor or you're looking to get into the housing market for the very first time, this is still a very opportune time. You can choose what type of floor plan. You don't have to rush to make a decision. And of course, you don't have to get into a bidding war as well too. Because frankly speaking, properties and real estate don't stay depressed for long in Toronto. You have to buy the dip, as they say in the stock market. So I hope this video was helpful to you guys in some way, and it provided a little bit more clearer insight into what's happening in the condo market. If you have any specific questions and you want to work with us directly here at Selling Toronto, then we'd be happy to do so. Please make sure you hit the subscribe button, give us a like, and if you want to work a little bit more directly, then please send us an email. So we hope everyone out there is staying safe and staying warm, and thanks for watching, and bye for now.